following me for some time, then you know that my long-term goals are just to shrink my collection overall. And I have a history of going through my eyeshadows specifically and kind of looking at them in a very scrutinous way to decide whether or not they're the type of shadow, the formula, shade, or whatever that I'm actually drawn to wearing versus just looking at and having and then realizing I don't actually use it. So I have a few more things that I want to declutter today. It's a very small declutter. I'm going to start with the two things that aren't eyeshadows. And if you have been following me for the past couple months, you might have seen this coming. These two Milani lip glosses are definite product purchase regrets because I completed the Milani, I think it was Prismatic Peach. I used that one up. I really enjoyed it. And then as soon as I finished it up, I bought two lip glosses to replace it. Same line, but not necessarily same formula. I have different issues with each of them, but I think I've also just changed preferences. I have found that nowadays, I don't like the feeling of lip gloss at all. It doesn't matter if it's not very sticky and a pretty watery, liquidy formula. I just don't want anything to do with it. So this one, you would think like, oh, it's clear, it should be nice. It feels okay. My main gripe with this is the scent. The other one I tried two different Milani lip glosses. They both had sweet scents. One of them was a bit mintier and one of them was more like sugary. This one is okay. They both smell weird. And I don't know if they went off because they're new. I've only had them for like 6 months. And it's a shame that I bought them. It's $20 down the drain because I can't give these to someone else. They're lip glosses. I just don't want to wear them ever. And when I try them on, I try to give them a chance. It's not enjoyable either because of the texture, the color, or the smell. This one is just too pale and pinky. I don't like the look on me, combined with I don't necessarily like the feeling on my lips. Lip glosses are a heavier texture than, a tinted lip balm or just a normal lipstick that you can apply in a light layer. This just has to be thicker in order to have that shine, and I just don't love it. So I'm going to say goodbye to these because I know I'm not going to reach for them. They're just going to expire if I keep them in my bag. Why not skip that step and just get rid of them now? So moving on, there are two eyeshadows that I am going to throw away as well. And that's just either because of the color or because of the formula. The first one I took a picture of is this orange matte, and I just don't like orange. I don't really have any orange clothing. I do have one orange lipstick. I'm gonna have to franken it. And the reason I'm throwing it away is because it's just super dry and crumbly. Ever since I repressed it, it was already a drier formula. I should have known that would happen. But, every time you kind of like lift it up just a centimeter above ground and drop it, chunks just come up. It's just not stable, and I don't want to give that to someone. Same with this black shade. It's like a metallic black, more of like a shimmery satin maybe, from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. I forgot to mention the orange is from the Profusion Rubies. But for the black shade, I'm getting rid of it just because I already have a matte black. I don't need a shimmery one. And that one's also not super stable in the pan. It's a little bit delicate. And I'm not going to give it to someone because it's just a black. I should talk about the ones that I plan on giving, probably to a sister or a sister-in-law. I repurposed this packaging. This held 3 liquid eyeshadows I got for Christmas, and all I had to do was just cut the little slots that were in between them that kind of made them whole. You can see the kind of bumps here, and I just taped them in because it's a magnetic closure. Ignore how shiny this is. I know that's not ideal for this video. Let's talk about the other shades from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. We have this cool toned taupey bronze shade, and then this almost leaning green, yellow metallic. Wonderful formulas. These are beautiful, like genuinely. This one's probably the best shimmer formula from the whole palette. It just glides. it's just not a color I want. It's a little bit too dark. It's a little bit too murky of a green. It doesn't flatter my skin tone. It really doesn't. And if I do want some kind of shimmery brown that's almost leaning olive, I can always just reach for this shade. It's a bit darker, a bit more brown, but honestly the tone's better. And I can always add like a light shimmer on top of it to brighten it up if I ever genuinely feel like I need that. But the thing is, I never want that. So I'm not like, oh, this is my replacement. It's more just like, I just don't want this. But if I had to justify it in my brain, you know, where it's like, well, what if one day it's like, you're covered, you're fine. Same with this gold shade. I honestly prefer the formula to the one in here. This one's a little bit warmer, a little bit less of like leaning green, but it works just fine because, again, I don't wear this bright yellow color. It just doesn't look the best on my skin. So unless if I'm wearing an outfit with that color in it, or, you know, really gold jewelry, I might want to like add a bit of it, but that's going to be a very rare case. And so I'll be fine using a good metallic formula versus one that I might prefer slightly more, but like, I don't need two of them, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to take this one apart just for silly things like this. Now this big square right here is from the Profusion, the Mauves palette. That one I kept a lot more from compared to the rubies, but this shade is just a darker, more jewel toned, kind of rosy pink shade. And when I'm going for a shimmer in that kind of tone range, I want it to be lighter. I don't reach for shimmers that are this dark typically, so I just got rid of it. It's a really pretty shade. I think if I had a really dark skin tone, this would be absolutely stunning on the lid, but on me, it's just a little bit like dark for my preferences and the type of looks I like to do. It's just not what I want. And then the only non-BH Cosmetic one left is this little green square. This is from the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette, the 16 pan. Again, gorgeous formula. This is one of the like chunkier shimmers. It's like almost glittery, but it's not. It is so like, bam, lime green. It is stunning. But I never want to, it's like this yellow, you know, it's just really bright, really warm. And really warm, bright tones don't look the best on me. I look better in cooler and more muted tones. As you can see here, I'm wearing a muted, cool toned to neutral green. And I find that looks a lot better on my skin than this type of green. It clashes. And if I ever do genuinely like feel like I need a brighter green, I have this shimmery summery green from the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette. And it is like a muted version of that. Do I like the formula as much? No, it's not as like super shiny, like you can really see it. But again, I don't reach for these shades very often. So I'd rather have the more muted tone, which is more approachable for me. And it just looks a little bit better on me. So as you can see, jewel tones just don't look the best on me, I guess. Or at least I don't like them on me. And then the last four, I know this is from BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin. These two are from Avocado Toast, and this one is from the Lost in Los Angeles palette. It's just, I don't prefer the colors. Again, gorgeous, gorgeous formulas. But this one is very similar to one I have in the Avocado Toast palette. Oh, my bad. This is also from Lost in LA. But this is very similar from one in the Avocado Toast palette, but that one is a little bit more dimensional. It's almost like a muted brownish base with like this gorgeous green shift. It's not like super shifty, but it has a little bit of dimension and something that's more interesting. And usually this kind of tone I want to pair with browns for like a very autumnal look. So it just, that one I'm more drawn to. My eye is like, ooh, I like the depth there, even though it's like, again, like a darker shimmer. If I want something like that, I want it to be more interesting. This one's just like a flat green. It's a good eyeshadow, don't get me wrong, but it's just less interesting. And so for a shadow I'm not going to use as much. I don't need two, so I'm going to just get rid of the ones that I am less drawn to. This purple is like a darker version of this one right here, this is from the ColourPop Lilac palette, I think. And I never use this, I'm not gonna lie. But I wanted like to keep one true neutral purple metallic, and so I chose the lighter one because this is just darker. And for shimmers, especially purples, I like really pale shimmers. So honestly, the other one's kind of on the chopping block in my brain, but this one I preferred less to that one, even though I think I like the formula on this one is a little bit more stable. The other one's a bit more fragile. This one's easier to work with, but again, it's just the color. I'm going to choose the lighter color over the darker color, or the more interesting color over the flatter color, you know. This one is super beautiful and interesting, but this was hard for me to reason away. Usually when I want to do some kind of like dark shimmer, it's a liner look, but honestly, I prefer a matte liner look like I did today. I used combination of this. I started with this, and then I went over top with this to make it brighter, but also because it was easier to make sure the lines were even with the lighter color and then not mess up as much with the darker one. But if I ever want the deep, shimmery, cool tone green look, I can put this and then top it off with this shimmer shade. It's so similar that I don't usually wear like shimmery green eyeliner, and I'm not going to wear it on the lid, so that's why I did this. And then these kind of shimmery blues and dark blues are what I use to justify not keeping this one. No matter how stunning it is, it's like this dark shimmer. Usually when I want to do a dark color, it's going to be as a liner. And usually when I want a liner, it's got to be a matte shade. So all these mid-tone to darker shimmer shades, or just really bright ones, are the ones that I find that I'm not drawn to. Not even in a sense of like, oh, I never wear them. It's also, I'm not even visually drawn to them to add them into color stories. So I'm going to see if I can give this to somebody. Because again, I really like the formulas of all these. It's just the colors. That's it. I don't use the colors, and I'm going to stop using this because it might be affecting the lighting. But I have a ton of really fun colors in this palette. And as you can see, I have a ton of fun colors hanging out here. I need to reorganize things because I got rid of so many shades. But yeah, I got rid of 8 here, and then 2 I'm throwing away, and then 2 lip glosses. So that's a total of 12 things I'm decluttering, which for my collection size, that's pretty significant. But I feel good about that because I'm wearing eyeshadow less and less now. This is very dramatic compared to what I've been doing lately. And I wasn't even trying to make it that dramatic. I just accidentally made the eyeliner bigger than I was trying to make it. But you know how it goes. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that maybe it helped you think about your collection in a different way. Maybe it helped you scrutinize your collection as well and seeing if there's anything that's not really something that you're drawn to, but for some reason you're keeping it because you're thinking maybe one day, and maybe you have some 2 shades that you can mix together and it's going to be very similar so that you don't need to keep that one. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have an amazing day.